Here we go, guys. So before getting into the actual Python, I want you guys to know the basics of the programming languages. So without any delay, let's get started. Computer languages. So from the very far history, we do have computers. So to communicate with the computers, we need some language, because our language is different from the computer language. So we can learn the computer language, but computer cannot learn our language. It is a machine, right? So we are going to learn the computer language Python now, but there are many computer languages which we can learn in order to communicate with computer. So in the past we used to have machine language and assembly language, which are really old, which is very difficult for us now to do this. Machine language is nothing but ones and zeros, binary code, which computers understand directly. Computers are programmed to be understand machine language, that is binary code. Binary code consists of ones and zeros. That's it, not any other number. So machine language, so that was very difficult for the people, so only some specialists could make this, and they used to use some punch cards, and over it was developed, and it was converted to assembly language. What is assembly language? Assembly language is, we use some of the words in order to communicate with the computer, and those words are called as mnemonics. Mnemonics are usually add, sub, and move. So using these mnemonics, they use it to communicate with the computer, and over the years the technology grew, and people gone to high level languages like C++, Java, and Python, which we are going to learn now. So, to be honest, this C language is the middle level language, but usually people consider it as a high level language, because these languages, in these languages, we just give commands in English, but it gets converted to the binary language and goes to the computer, and it understands everything what we are going to say. So, let's go to the next topic, and here is a definition. What is a programming language? A programming language can be defined as a language used for expressing a set of computer instructions, and here we go with where the programming is done, how it is done. So firstly, input and output devices are input devices means which the which we give commands to the computer. How do we give commands to the computer? In general, we do use daily, like keyboard, mouse, everything that we give command to the computer. And output devices are which takes the command and just gives us back the result, like printers and our desktop screen. Everything considered as output of the computer devices. So here we do have secondary memory. Secondary memory means which is a permanent memory, and it stores everything which we program, the code, everything. And here we come with main memory and CPU. CPU is the brain of the computer, as you all know. So what happens is, the main memory is the place we programmers live. That means the main memory is the place where the we code what we executed will go to. The code we want to execute will go to main memory. That main memory just gives the step by step instructions to the CPU. It gives, if you have a program of 5 steps, it gives you 1 steps to the CPU, CPU executes it and asks main memory back what is the next thing to do, and the main memory gives a second step. CPU sees it, executes it, and asks what is the next thing to do, and it gives third steps. Until and unless your all steps are executed, CPU works on it, and it's a mutual cycle which runs between the CPU and main memory. So the CPU is very important for the computer as it is the computer intelligence. It just executes 3 million times a second. 3 million times, it's really a blink of eye, but 3 billion times. That's really a large amount, and it consists of a transistor, and it asks the main memory what to do next. And so we this secondary memory, it stores what is our code and what is being executed. It stores everything, and this is where and what is getting executed and how is getting executed. A simple and brief structure over here. And let's get into the next topic called reserved words. What are reserved words? Reserved words are known as keywords. So next name is keywords. So we can call it as keywords. Mostly people call it as keywords. What are keywords? Keywords are the words which have the specific meaning in the programming languages. We cannot use them for any other purpose. They have their specific meaning, and we can use them only for that purpose. While, do, if, else, break, continue, auto, and many more are there, but I don't want to tell them now and you to get remember of them. Don't do that. Don't just remember everything, because as you go into the coding and everything, you just get practice of it. No need to remember it. You'll just get remembered automatically. So I don't want to tell you everything what will be there in the keywords, because while doing the coding you will just get experience of it and you just remember it. No need to do anything. So next go to the topic, data types. Data types are, they just define what type of data it is, what type of data you are giving to the code, what type of data you are giving to some variable. I will just discuss about what is a variable in the next subsequent video. But now data types are, if you are giving a number, so it just can get into these three of the data types, maybe any one, we don't know how to determine. So let's get to know about these three. Mainly commonly data types are three. We do have many, but common use we have three. As you do coding you just get experience of what are others. But now let's get to the three data types: integers, characters, float. So integers are defined in the coding. When you are writing a code, if you want to tell they are integers, you need to use this int, all small, int. This is a keyword. So as I said you, keywords are no need to be learned and remembered, they just get to you. Int, so we use int. And if you are giving a number, like a positive number, negative number, or a zero, it is given under integers. So if you are giving any these three types of numbers, you can use integer. And just remember, this is percentage d, which we use in the coding. You'll get to know about it, just have a look at it. And character is nothing but having alphabets a, b, c, etc, etc, etc. And float is decimal numbers like 1.1 and anything with decimal numbers. But one point to be noted, if you are doing integers and if you want to be very precise, you can use float here, because maybe the answer may turn into the decimal, you don't know exactly, so you can use float here. But you cannot use integers in the place of float. So yeah, What now we are going into the expressions. What are expressions? You might know many of these. Addition we use plus, subtraction we use negative, multiplication we use this star mark. So make a note of it. We don't use this into symbol which we are using from years. We are using this star mark. And the division for power, something 2 power 3, uh, 3 we use it as 2 star 3 in the coding. Okay, and this is the reminder one. I want to tell you something about this division. This division doesn't mean that what is our actual division. We just do reminder, coefficient, etc. But this division mark tells us only coefficient. For example, 5 by 2. This 5 by 2 tells us that we just do it and we say 2.5. What is there? That's not the answer, because this division only tells the coefficient. When you divide 5 by 2, you get coefficient as 2. So this answer will be 2 only. So it doesn't go to decimal, just only 2, only coefficient. You need to consider only coefficient part. And when this comes to reminder, it is opposite, nothing new. You just take the reminder part. Let me tell you with an example to get better understanding. 5%, sorry, this is called as modulo. So as you guys, I to tell it as a percentage, but this is a modulo. This is called as modulo. 5 modulo 2 is given as 1, because the division of 5 by 2, the remainder comes out to be 1. If you do the same thing with 4 modulo 2, you get it as 0. Easy. Okay. Next, operator precedence. What is an operator precedence? Uh, Without telling you the theoretical part, let's go into the practical and get good understanding of it. If you see this, this is a large calculation with addition, multiplication, subtraction, division, power. Almost all the operators are involved in this. So here comes the question: which should be calculated first? This is the question. So how to do this complex type of calculations? We do have some rules. So let's have a look over the rules. Highest precedence rule to the lowest precedence rule. Parentheses are always respected, because for if they mention you some parenthesis over here, just ignore everything. First calculate this parenthesis and then just go to others, and then exponentation and rise to a power. That means first you need to go with the exponential, any terms with exponential, or in other words raising to a power, that is double star, this one. So next, after that, multiplication, division, and remainder can be given highest priority, and then addition and subtraction, and then you just go from the left to right calculation. If these 5, 4 are okay, and if you have again a doubt what to do, go from left to right. And here is a small order of calculating things, so have a note of it. So let's go to the next topic. Yeah, so we are done for this video, and in the next video we're gonna discuss about variables, printing, and user input functions, print and user input functions in the Python. So we are getting into the Python in the next video.